Battles are an essential component of RPGs. Characters face off against monsters and other adversaries throughout their journey, and each game handles things a little differently. But there are some common aspects that most RPGs share in their battles. So let's use Lunar Silver Star Story's battle system to give you a basic idea of how battles work. To start with, Lunar has what is called a turn-based battle system. This means that characters and enemies act in a sequence of turns, one at a time. There are various factors that determine what order the turns happen in, and some enemies may act before your party members do, or vice versa. But in Lunar, before all that takes place, you are provided with the Battle Command menu. To navigate this menu, use the directional buttons to move the cursor around and make choices with the confirmation button, or go back to a previous step using the cancel button. Here, you get to choose actions for each individual character to take for their next upcoming turn, including picking targets for their attacks or abilities. These actions are grouped into categories to help keep things organized and streamlined. Let's look at the most common ones that you will use often in any RPG. Attack is the basic attack action and is a staple of RPGs. Choosing this prompts you to select a target to attack, with the hand icon acting as your cursor and showing you what is being selected. Characters will also flash white repeatedly to help you see that they are the selected targets. For characters that can perform spells or abilities, there is the Magic category, and choosing this opens another menu to select the spell or ability that you wish to use. These can have different types of targets, including one ally, one enemy, all allies, all enemies, and ally zones or enemy zones. You can quickly see what type of targeting the spell or ability has by looking at the first two letters in its description. 1A is for one ally, 1E is for one enemy, AA is all allies, AE is all enemies, EZ is enemy zone, and so on. You will also see a defend option. Defending in most RPGs is a rarely used command. What it does is reduce the amount of damage that your character will take that turn from enemies, but at the cost of that character not performing any other action that turn. It can be useful if you are trying to survive against a strong enemy attack, or to buy time for a spell or ability to be performed, but most of the time, it is not the best use of your character's turn, so most players will not use this option very much in RPGs. Items allow you to use something from the inventory. In most games, a single inventory of items is shared between all characters, but in Lunar, each character has their own individual inventory, and they can only use items that they are carrying themselves. These are commonly things like health recovery items to refill your character's health, purification items that remove any unwanted status ailments from your characters, magic restoration items that allow your characters to use more of their spells and abilities, or revival items to bring characters back into the battle when they reach 0 health. Once you have chosen an action for each character in the party to take, the battle will play out its first turn accordingly. To reduce confusion, let's call this the battle turn, as opposed to individual turns taken by characters and enemies. Enemies are controlled by the game, and will have their own behaviors and unique abilities that they use on their individual turns. These will play out in sequence, with characters and enemies taking their individual turns according to the game's rules. Once all characters and enemies have had their individual turns, you will be presented with the Battle Command menu again, and you choose another round of actions for your characters to perform for the upcoming battle turn. Depending on how the previous battle turn went, you may wish to select new targets, choose other actions, or adjust your strategy to deal with unexpected changes to certain enemies or characters. To win the battle, the goal is to defeat all the enemies before they can defeat your party's characters, but this usually takes more than a single battle turn to accomplish. Most games also have some kind of auto-battle feature, and in Lunar the equivalent of this is the Tactics command. Here, you can choose a set of predetermined actions for all your characters to perform. For example, choosing the Tactics 2 option will make it so all your characters perform their basic attacks, and the targets will be whatever enemy is closest to that character when it is their individual turn. This is a quick way to choose simple commands for your entire party and helps to speed up battles. It is not always the smartest choice for every encounter, however. So you will want to issue commands manually sometimes too, especially for more challenging battles. There is also an option to run from a battle, but I would discourage you from doing this in most cases. It can be helpful if you are in trouble, out of recovery items and magic, or situationally it can make sense, but otherwise it is much better to engage in every battle that you enter, even when it feels a little tedious. If you run from battles too often, your characters will not grow in strength, and the game will become more difficult to progress. Aside from the battle commands, there is other visual information you should take note of during battles. There are a lot of similarities in other RPGs, but let's look specifically at how Lunar handles this. At the bottom of the screen, your character's health, magic reserves, status, and overall level are displayed. These are all character stats, and beneath the surface, RPGs are all about these numbers. Let's look at a few of the more crucial stats. First is HP, which is the most common term and usually stands for hit points or health points. Your character's current health is displayed as a number next to HP. When they take damage from enemy attacks, this number goes down, and is usually shown as a white number appearing over their character when attacked by an enemy, and that number is subtracted from their total health. When HP reaches 0, the character gets the fainted status. If this happens, your character will no longer be able to perform actions for that battle unless they are revived using a particular magic spell or item. In Lunar, when your character's HP is full, it is displayed as a green number at the bottom of the screen. This is a helpful visual indicator. Similarly, when they are at low health, the number will change from white to orange, and when they are at critically low health, it will turn red. When a character has their HP restored by a healing spell or restorative item, rather than a white number appearing over them, the number will be green instead. This is a long-standing convention and tradition of RPGs, where green numbers almost always indicate healing, or in other words, an amount of HP that was returned to your character rather than taken away from them. Next is the MP stat, which is usually short for magic points or magic power. This is like HP, but for spells or abilities instead of the character's health. Running out of MP doesn't cause any strong consequences, but it means that the character will not be able to perform any additional spells or special abilities until they can restore their MP. Each spell or ability has its own unique MP cost to use, so you can determine how many times you can use it before you need to restore a character's MP. Status effects can come into play as you progress in games, and they commonly have a specific counter or curative item that addresses them, and often will have spells that can counter their effects as well. Usually these status effects are creative ways to deal more damage or cause inconvenience to players or enemies, and games will gradually introduce you to more of these as you go along. Poison, for example, is a common one, and then Lunar is negated by using an antidote item from your inventory on the afflicted character. In Lunar, some status effects only last until the end of the current battle, and then they are removed from characters. There are also beneficial status effects too, and rather than trying to cure them, you actually want to have these on your characters to help them in battles. Finally, there is a concept in RPGs called leveling. Leveling basically means increasing the strength of your characters through successful battles. This too is represented by a number, and a common maximum level for most RPGs is 99. As your characters win battles and gain enough experience points, they will level up and reach the next level number. When this happens, they will also gain a small increase in various stats, helping them to grow stronger. Sometimes they will unlock new spells and abilities they can use in battles from then on, too. Inevitably, your characters will get low on HP and MP and need to rest and recover before you can continue making progress in a dungeon or exploring an area. In Lunar, you can interact with the goddess Althena statues to restore your party members. Doing so will fully restore your party's HP, MP, cure any unwanted status ailments, and revive them from fainted status. With a fully restored party, you can attempt to tackle dungeons and other challenges with stronger characters than before. There are even more specifics that I could go into about battles in RPGs, and each game has its own unique battle features that help it stand out from other RPGs. But this overview should give you a good basic idea of what battling is all about and how to approach it in Lunar Silver Star Story and many other RPGs too. If you found this video helpful and you know someone who would benefit from seeing it, feel free to share it with them. If you enjoyed this content, please leave a like so others can find it more easily. And if you want to receive notifications when new videos get released, you can subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.